Isn't that the way it works? Well, God brings together opposites, and then you start impacting one another. Well, after seminary, 1969 to 73, Jane and I came to Silverdale, and God graced us with 4 children. A son, Aaron, oldest daughter, Jessica, middle daughter, Leah. Leah's husband, they planned on being here, but our middle daughter, Leah's husband, got a special award, and so his company took the whole crew down to Mexico as a reward. We told him that you're just going to have to skip it. No, we didn't. We said, bon voyage. So anyway, we're missing them, but our middle daughter, Leah, and then our youngest daughter, Rachel. And these truly are the four delights of our life, the 4 most wonderful kids you can imagine. And they're amazing spouses. All of them have great, great spouses, and 9 absolutely adorable grandkids. You're going to see a bunch of them sitting up here on the stage a bit later. But God has been so good. The rest of our time together today will be kind of reflecting back on, you'll see in your program, reflecting back on 3 chapters of our ministry and 3 different periods, and then we'll look a little bit at, we'll have a vow renewal ceremony, and that's where we get to have our another message from our dear brother Robert. So sit back, enjoy, follow along in the program. I think it'll keep you up to speed on what's happening. And Pastor Joe Schneider, who came to seminary half year after me, he and his wife Linda, every year when new students had come into seminary, we'd only been there a half year, but when new students had come in, the seminary would link you up with an entering brother and sister. And Joe and Linda were from the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, just got married, and we became their big brother and sister. More than that, we became their very, very dear friends. And soon we began to minister together, and Joe and I co-pastored at PBF from 1976 until 2000. And then Joe took over the lead pastoring role, and we've remained very, very close friends. Nobody knows us better in ministry than Joe Schneider. Let's give Joe a big hand. Joe?
I think most of us love a good story. I know I do. And I especially love, especially in our society, good news. I get, like you do, too much bad news as it is already. You're going to hear a lot of stories. You already have heard some that I hadn't heard before. You will hear more, and I'd like to encourage you to be thinking in 2 themes. You can do this, and this is one of the ways that you can do what Bill said he wanted most to do, and that's to see you not just focus on them, but on Jesus and what he's doing and your story. So one way to do that would be to listen for these 2 themes. Listen for Bill's single-minded focus. If you know him well, you know that. But listen for the singularity of his focus, his determination to do one thing well. And listen for Jane's warmth that she brings in from a home where her friends were always welcome in the home. And so that warmth and the welcome of the home, together with Bill's single-minded focus, I'm saying, you're going to hear that over and over again. You're going to hear what God did to create all kinds of life in people's lives. Now, you can do the same thing with your life, because God has a story that he's writing in your life. And you might even think beyond Bill and Jane to what themes there are in your life and how he's put things together and how that facilitates your story. So, as we get going then, we're in the early years, 1969 to 1975. And Deb Yoder, these people will be introduced in your program, so I won't take the time to introduce them, and they don't need me to. And Deb, it's your turn.
Wow, what a special day. Bill and Jane came into my life at Skyline High School, going to school with Dave, in 1972. Jane was a teacher. I was a lost, confused teenager without a clue of how to do life. I was hustling for a sense of belonging. It was a way of being for me that was absolutely exhausting and fruitless. But I was drawn like a magnet to Jane because she accepted me as I was, in all my brokenness. She actually was my brother's teacher. So her classroom was across the hall. David was in your class. Mine was on the other side of the hall. But back then, I skipped school more than I went. But Jane would check on me every morning, and she gave me a star on the days I showed up. Do you remember that, Jane? Yeah? Well, I could care less about the star, but her caring, her noticing, seeing me, truly seeing me. Could it be that if this teacher cared, that I was worthy of being? So thank you, guys, for showing me Jesus. Thank you for giving me the life giver. And Jane, thank you for teaching me how to teach. You guys have loved me well for 46 years. 46 years, can you believe that, David? You never dismissed me. You never rushed me, except right now, when you gave me 1 minute to tell you how much you mean to me. Love you.
So Elizabeth, I have 22 fun, Jane. So there you go. I was a 22-year-old, and I was leading a Young Life club in Seattle. I was so far underwater that it was pathetic. I was just screaming for help, and I didn't really get that locally. And I went to a Young Life gig, and Bill was speaking. Didn't know him from anybody, and I went, I really am hungry to have someone who's older and wiser and has a vision. So I met with Bill, and this is what I wrote in my journal. I journaled. I've done that my whole life. And I wrote, I met with Bill Robinson today. Remember, I'm 22 years old. This is a long time ago. I don't want to leech off of him, but I have to. For my sake, and for the sake of the guys at South High School. And then, Bill, you invited me to join your Monday morning group, and I said, I live in Seattle, and you're in Burlington. The group, what, at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m.? It was always crazy. So he said, well, just come on over on Sunday night. You can spend the night with us. So for the next year, I came over, and I never thought of this equation. You'd come down to the ferry and pick me up every Sunday night. I'm a stray. You have no knowledge of who I am. And I just butted. So everybody else, probably you came into their lives with intentionality, Bill and Jane. I butted into your life. And you invited me in your home. Jane, you were just fabulous. I'd get there, and there'd be some kind of food. And then they'd give me the deluxe sofa. And 22, I was pretty flexible, and I would just sleep there. And it was absolutely incredible. And then one of the joys here, and I haven't seen you in a long time, is watch you get potty trained. And I know this is not one of those ones. But the joy wasn't about you, it was about your dad. He was imitating everything you were supposed to do. And I will not do any sort of motions here. But my understanding from talking with Bill this week is that he's still potty training children in Silverdale. So I think we should call him Mr. Potty and just get over it. And so this is one of the journal entries that I have. Bill's lifestyle attracts me, fascinates me, and scares me to death. It would be much easier to remain moderate in my faith. Bill just doesn't seem to care what other people think. He just lives out his ideals. And then I wrote,
He's either the greatest fool or the wisest person I know. Well, I'm here because I think it's not the formal letter. And then I got into law school at the University of Washington, and Bill got me my first job. So it just continues. And it was a neighbor of his, and it didn't turn out to be the greatest law job ever. The senior partner was a state senator at the time who accepted bribes and was disbarred and sent to prison. And, so you could thank Bill that there's one less practicing lawyer in the U.S. It was also the summer I fell in love. My wife's here with me, and Jane and Bill took Mary in and embraced her. And then when we thought about marital counseling, who else but Bill? And as I think through the journaling we did, and just the interaction we had with you, it saved us years of strife because we learned how to negotiate and how we were different. And then, of course, the wedding. So who else were we going to get but Bill to do the wedding? The humorous thing was, it was a Lutheran church. We weren't Lutheran, but we liked the church. And they had a requirement that Bill put on what the Lutheran clergy would wear. I didn't know what that meant. I don't think you knew what that meant. But I have a great photo, and I wish I could show it, of Bill in a monastic robe, but it looks like it's out of the 13th century. And I came around the corner at the wedding, and it was right before the service, and I saw him in this robe, and I burst out laughing. And I was bent over, because he's so low church, it's just really funny. So, this is what my journal says. All Bill could say was, "Only for you, Alec." So I am here as part of the payback. And so throughout my life, which is now extended over multiple decades, I have appreciated and applied the principles I've learned from the two of you. How to be a disciple, how to disciple others. What I do now as president emeritus of InterVarsity is I have 15 regional directors that I mentor. So I got that from you. Thank you. Jane, I got hospitality and warmth and how to make a home in ministry. I've never really seen that before. And for both of you, how to be joyful in the midst of adversity. So it's with greatest appreciation and heartfelt joy that Mary and I are so thrilled to be with you on this special day. We love you. To God be the glory.
Now we're going to be watching the screen as several other friends who weren't able to be here, or for the sake of time, we captured them on film, so watch from that same period.
I have known and been friends with Bill and Jane